Well, the tree. Yesterday we have discussed the first stanza. The present poem, The Tree, is having 4 stanzas, 8 lines in each stanza. It makes 32 lines. So you may call it is a very short poem. You may call it that it is a short poem. Now, what is unusual about this poem? Though it looks very simple, but it is quite unusual. Why? Why it is unusual? Because here in this poem, the poet is describing about poet's attitude. Poet's attitude. The present poem is unusual because it is highlighting or describing about poet's attitude. Understood? It is describing about poet's attitude. Attitude towards the tree. When she looks upon that tree, the tree that is growing in the greenhouse, in the veranda, in the terrace garden, she compares herself with that tree that is growing into the confinement. Here the confinement, here there is a deep cry, there is a deep unrest for the freedom that the poet wants. In fact, here the poet is objectively describes the escape of a tree from its need. What was it objective? In fact, it was not the tree that she wants to escape. In fact, she wants to escape the whole woman. The whole woman. The tree, that is an extended metaphor. An extended metaphor. Metaphor is direct comparison. But here the tree is compared. Directly the tree is taken as a female. Female. The trees are indeed people. People, especially female. Especially female. So, the females who has been healed with the passage of time and are now ready for their primary purpose. Here, she is ready to renew the forest of mankind. Ready to renew. She is ready to renew the forest of mankind. She is ready to renew the forest of mankind. Here, a figure of speech, enjambment is used throughout the poem to convey the sense of the flow. Sense of flow that the poem has. Here, the trees are projected or painted. What it is projected and painted? It is projected and painted that the trees are breaking out. In fact, it is not the trees that are breaking out. In fact, the women who have been put in the confine for the long period of the time, they are weeping, they are feeling unrest, and they want to break out. those shackles, those barriers that the society has put before them. The meaning is very simple. So, how it is breaking? The greenhouse or the conservatories, the cover veranda, the terrace. In fact, here the breaking out, the very simple things. It is trying the what the breaking out in the stanza. Discharge them from the crack. They are ready to discharge themselves. They are ready to separate themselves. Who are the womenhood? Here, the forest of the womanhood is being taught. The poet is a feminist by her nature, as she was a female. So it was quite natural that a female will advocate about her suppression, as she has experienced. She might have experienced that there is a confinement in the life of the women in particular. So here she softly suggested us that the freedom, the trees are ready to move to the forest of the womanhood. Forest of the womanhood. The trees are breaking and they are shifting among the domestics. So now the message, the very soft message, when you will see the line number, the new tree, come to the line number, what the new tree, the new forest will take the shape very quick. Here you see the very mild suggestion, the new tree. What is the new tree? The new generations. Here the poet is hitting upon the idea that the women who have rested, who have been confined, are now ready for their purpose, and their purpose is their freedom. And the new generation, the new child, in particular the female child, they will born with freedom. And you can see how the empowerment of the women and the emancipation of the women is gradually taking place. You could see the role of the women. Now women are walking shoulder to shoulder. They are participating each and every event equally like you. So here that is a pointing, here the poet is pointing toward a short sea change, a short great change, a big change, a big silent change is gradually coming. And you could see and you can feel the change in the identity of the woman. If you will go back into the medieval period or into the ancient period, there is a change, sea change, great change in the identity of the women in the present situation or in the present condition. Now come to the second stanza. To the first stanza we have discussed. So the tree is a 4-stanza poem. It is of 39. The tree is an extended metaphor that stands for female, and the poet's desire for freedom is being hit upon. Here, through the poem, the poet ironically or adequately she attacks upon that the freedom for the woman is the urgent need of the society. Now come to the stanza number. All night the roots work. All night the root works. Whose root is being taught? Here you see, all the night. The root work. To discharge. Here to discharge. To disengage, to disengage themselves from the crack. Themselves from the cracks, from the cracks. Here you see the unrest all the night, the root of that tree. The girl that is growing in the confined are spending sleepless night. They are feeling grilled, arrested and confined. They are feeling dependent. There is no independence to them. Dear children, as they are not educated, they are dependent. With the passage of time, the female, the girl child, the women, they will receive the education and they will become free. So remember, all the night the root of the tree is working to disengage. The root of the tree want to escape, want to run away. He wanted to escape. Here, disengage themselves means wanted to escape. Please write the meaning. Disengage themselves. To disengage. To disengage themselves. The meaning is to separate themselves. The root of that tree is trying to separate themselves. Why? Why it wants to separate? Because the tree does not like the confinement. The canopy, the greenhouse, the conservatories, the botanical gardens or the national parks, wherever the flora and the fauna are put in confinement, they also require freedom. A tree will grow naturally in a full growth in its own habitat. So here, all the night, for the whole night, in the day it is not struggling. Why? Because in the night it feels lonely and there it wants to escape. It wants to escape, it wants to separate themselves. Separate themselves from where? Here you see, disengage themselves from that crack, the crack that has happened in the veranda, in the house, in the veranda's floor. The leaves is stained towards the glass and the leaves are straining toward the glass. Look at the restriction. Here, imagine the tree in the house. The tree in the house how the tree, that is an extended metaphor for the female, how it is feeling unrest and wanting to escape to the forest of womanhood. They are crying for identity, their self-identity. The women, the poet here is advocating about her unrest, and she wants to suggest that there should be a proper identity should be given to the woman. So here, A small twig stiff the extractions. Here, look at the revolt. The leaves on the glass are trying to go out. The tall twigs are also trying to revolt. Long cramped bough snuffed under the roof. Long cramped. The boughs, the branches of the tree have been cramped. How it has been cramped? Because there is not much space, much freedom, as the tree cannot grow according to its own natural way. It has been pruned, it has been restricted, so it is not growing in its proper way. So the boughs, the branches have been cramped. How it is has been cramped? As it has been not allowed to grow into its own natural habitat. There is a restriction. The glass, the veranda, the house, the canopy or the greenhouse, it has been restricted. It has been restricted. So the boughs, the branches of the tree has been cramped. So here you can see, if a girl child is not total freedom, naturally they will cramp. They will cramp. They will not grow into their natural environment. If the freedom, as we have seen, that the freedom that we have given to our girl child has brought a very, very beautiful result. Now they are emerging as our co-partners. They can shoulder the responsibility equally as beautifully as the men can contribute, and they are contributing. The women are in fact contributing. Long cramped brow snuffling at the roof like the newly discharged patients. And here you see the simile is being used. The new trees, the cramped branch are feeling restless, as if a patient in the hospital are feeling restless, and restlessly he is yearning for his freedom. He wants to be discharged and wants to be discharged from the hospital where he was kept. Though he was given proper treatment, proper food, proper care, but the restriction that he felt over there as a patient. So here, the cramped brown branches of the tree is compared to those patient, the patient that has been hospitalized, and the patient, how it is feeling? Feeling the patient that has been discharged, half dose, half moving to the, though it is half dosing, but it is wanted to escape. It wants to run away from its confinement. So here in the second stanza, the poet has talked about the restlessness of the tree, the restlessness of the female that they are feeling in the confinement. As the trees are put into the confinement, into the greenhouse, into the conservatories, into the drawing room or in the terrace room, it is not growing because it is not growing. It cannot grow in full, and it is feeling like those patients that is kept in the hospital. And it wants the freedom, feel like those patients who is waiting for to discharge. Those patients, here you see the patient who is ill, the tree is not healthy. Why it is not healthy? Because it has been not given a proper environment, a proper freedom to grow. Same is the condition of the female. So here in the stanza number 2, the poet has hit upon that the identity, the crisis of the identity, that the trees are indeed the people, especially the female, and the female who is in need of healing. And in fact, they have healed up. They have healed up, and they are ready to renew the forest of mankind. So, throughout the poem, the poet conveys the sense of flow, sense of restriction. Here in the sense of restriction, the tree that is put in confinement. In both the stanza number 1 and 2, the poet is talking about discharge of the tree, confinement of the tree. The tree is will look more beautiful, will feel more convenient in its natural habitat, that is forest. So dear children, remember, freedom should be granted. Through this poem, the poet has given a very, very strong message. Till the second stanza, I can just describe 8 lines in one day. Because here teaching is done. The night the root works. The night, what is the night? The rest, the darkness. Here the night is symbol of darkness. Darkness. Why they are not working in the day? Because they are not allowed. During the night, they are trying to escape the darkness of illiteracy. The darkness of illiteracy, the darkness of the malpractice, the darkness of the restrictions, the darkness of the barrier that the society has put before the women has made them restless. Here, the poet, who is a female and is a feminist, wants to get rid of that darkness, and all the year that she was growing into that restriction, the darkness of the restriction, she was trying to escape, she was trying to discharge herself from that restriction. She wanted to escape and join the forest of the woman. She is advocating for the true identity of a woman in the forest of the